And we're back. Welcome back to the channel. Billy, Gym City Welding. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here and welcome you to 2024. So, it's a new year, new time to work on the projects, get things going, and bust out that ride in 2024. Thanks for tuning in. Got a great episode today. We're going to work on some stuff on the 64, show you some parts that I recently picked up, and explain what my goals are for 2024. All that and more on this episode. Stay tuned. All right, so welcome back to the channel. So first thing first, I got to start off by saying it wouldn't be 2024 without starting out with something going on in the world. And right away, there's a earthquake in Japan, tsunami, big tsunami. It's headed, well, it's already made landfall in California and some other places. So Gym City Welding, myself, just wanted to take a second, say, hey, we're thinking about you guys, Japan, Hawaii, West Coast US, anybody that watches the program, I'm thinking about you, and I hope everybody gets out of this okay. So for what it's worth, I'm thinking about you. But yeah, it's 2024, so new year, new me. Not really. I'm not really a big new year, new me kind of guy, and I don't hate on that kind of stuff. It's just, it's not something I subscribe to. I don't try to put like time limitations on myself or stuff like that. If you learn something in 2024 and that you didn't know in 2023, then more power to you. But I'm just going to keep on trucking on like I have been this my whole life. So what's been going on since last video? So I went to a local swap meet. It's a dirt modified oval track swap meet. Those of you who are not from Ohio or don't know much about oval racing, that stuff's pretty big in Ohio. They typically use like metric chassis stuff. So like your G-Body, your Malibu, Monty, Cutlass, Regals, that sort of thing with their chassis. So I went to the swap meet looking to pick up some parts. Show a little picture of that. It was packed. Oh my God, it was packed. But I did get some really cool stuff. So I'll show you exactly what I got now. So what did I get? I ended up picking up some stainless steel front brake lines for the Impala and all the hardware that would go with that. So I kind of mocked up one here just to kind of show you what I'm talking about. So this is like the frame tab right here that gets welded or bolted, however you want to do that on your frame. This portion would accept the brake line itself, and then you got your clip, retainer clip, and then your steel braided line, which would run all the way down to the caliper, and then you got your caliper fitting. And the only thing I'm really missing is these little brass washers, but that'll come later when I go to install these on the car. I also picked up a Cleco kit. So you're going to see me talk about Cleco on today's episode. These just happen to be the 1/8 inch Clecos. So if you've never heard of these, stick around. I'll explain all about them. But also got to tell you that my conscience got the best of me. I started looking at the Impala, the backseat portion for where like right underneath the seat. Remember in the last episode, I said that I thought I could save that. I still probably could. But when I removed the passenger armrest for the rear passenger area, I saw some things I wasn't super crazy about. Saw some stuff on the driver's side that I wasn't super crazy about. So my conscience got the best of me and picked up that guy right there. So today's episode, we're going to be changing out the pan, at least getting it removed from the car, which that's the original, and setting it up for this replacement. So I mentioned in the last video, these are about $100. I was completely wrong about that. This piece was $88. So tax, it comes in under 100, but whatever. Somebody's going to ask me. Restoration World, Huber Heights, Ohio. That's where I got it. That's where you can get yours. So this is 61 to 64. It does not have the brace, so I'm going to have to reuse my factory brace. If yours was rusted out, of course, you would have to replace the brace. I also picked up some more body mounts from Restoration World. Not body mounts, excuse me, the cushion. So 60 to 64 body to frame cushion, because I'm running a convertible mounts like you guys have seen in previous episodes. So I needed 4 extra cushions with the corresponding bottom cushion that would go on the bottom side. So yeah, had to buy a whole kit, but that's okay. It was 30 bucks for a whole kit, which is no big deal. That gets me the 4 cushions I need, and I can use those for there, and then of course these front ones you guys saw me do in the past, the last episode. So that's what we're going to be doing today. If you have any questions about this, feel free to ask me. It's not coated for a weld-through primer. It's just epoxy, so I will have to remove some of the black coating when I go to do the welding portion, just like on the full pan. And I'll touch on that when I get to that point. But show you guys what I found when I was working in the back here. So again, I still stand by that I could probably save this, but I found some rust that I need to repair in the corner there, which isn't too hateful. It's not the worst. And then I've got a hole here, there's a hole over there. And you know what really got the best of me in my conscience when I was thinking about this is I've already pulled this part of the pan apart. You guys have seen that. I've got a replacement upper trunk deck, and then I've got the replacement trunk deck, rear pan. So the only thing that was going to be original to the car was this one. And I said to myself, you know what? I've replaced 90% of the floor. What's one more piece? It's not that big of a deal. That way it's going to be all brand new. It won't have any, remnants of factory undercoating. Plus, it'll give me an idea or a chance to get in here and figure out what's going on with this wheel well, if I need to patch that, which I am not cutting that out of the car. I stand by that right now. I'm not cutting this out of the car.
No, God! No, God, please, no!
I'm going to replace and patch whatever rust damage might be lurking behind this. So these supports for the upper deck will have to be taken off in these locations. And these are held on with just, let's see, probably can't really tell. There's one, there's another. Those are those little spot welds from the factory. So there's 2 ways you can approach this. The first one is you can try to drill out the spot weld, or you can put that chisel behind there and a couple hits of the chisel with the hammer and pop that loose. I'm probably going to try a combination of both just to see what works the best. But something I want to note, factory brackets right there, right there, right there, and of course over there. So those I want to keep, and I'm going to want to keep these drain plugs. Maybe not that one. I might get a new one. Restoration World has them, guys. They're under $5 a piece. But, if I can clean that one up, I'll save it. No big deal. So, yeah, that's what we're going to do today. I don't know how far I'm going to get into the project today. I want to have this pan removed. Excuse me. I know I want that part removed. That way I can start tackling that rust and get the pan ready back to install. So stick with me. Going to be a lot of time lapses, and we'll try and get her knocked out. So here we go. All right, so wanted to take a break and show you guys just how far I've gotten. This has only been about maybe 10 or 15 minutes, if that. But you get the idea from the time lapse. That air power chisel does wonders. It'll peel this stuff back like nobody's business. You guys saw me do the plasma cut. Now, if you don't have a plasma at home, that's okay. Basically, what I'm trying to do by making this plasma cut is take this section out in one chunk. That way, all of these brackets stay lined up. And just like in the previous video about the front floor, I'll be able to lay this existing piece right over top of the replacement that has like this hump here, this hump, and it'll line up perfectly for these other little brackets. And then what you can do, like on a bracket like this, is drill a small little hole, maybe one here and one here. And that way when you lay this over the floor pan, you can stick a marker in those little holes and it'll transfer that mark over to the new floor pan. Get that little bracket off, and then you can weld it right to the new pan and you'll have it lined up exactly where it needs to be. There you can kind of see the shadow. You can kind of see the extent of the rust. That's why ultimately I decided to just go ahead and replace this thing. But again, chisel makes short work of this whole thing. Oh, and you saw me drill these out. And I did a combination drilling them out and air-powered chisel. But you can see this stuff works great. So let's get back at it and let's get the rest of this floor pan out of here. All right, so there she is, guys. She's all out. One thing I would recommend, if you're going to do this to a car where you're not replacing this upper deck, take better care on that lip of the front of that panel. Use the spot weld cutter. Of course, I'm replacing that, so it's no consequence to me, but just something to keep in mind, you guys, if you're wanting to save that upper panel. But super long time lapses. Sorry about that. It's just part of the process. And as you can see, that rocker over there is pretty good shape, as well as that lower inside wheel well. This one, not so much. I got to do a little bit of fabrication, a little bit of rust repair. Hey, but that's okay. That's part of the process. Again, like I said earlier, I hated to replace that single panel if I didn't have to, but I like to say that stuff like that is paying tuition. It's the cost of learning, and it's 80 some bucks and just a couple hours of labor. So it's not really that big of a deal. So keep that in mind, guys. You're paying tuition to learn and you're teaching yourself. So one last thing to note about this part before I skip over to the next part. Again, I talked about this in great length last time. These vert mounts, as you can see, there's the rear vert mount. There's the hole with the bushing. If you're on the fence about doing these vert mounts, if you're going to this part, this far with your floor, consider doing these. It's extra insurance. Hit up Max at the Chop. He's you can find him on Instagram. I've talked about these at length, guys. These things are amazing, and they're going to help you save the body of the car from flexing. Sorry, I had to climb out of there during three-wheeling and hopping and all that jazz. So if you're going to this length, go ahead and put them in there. Now, a better illustration of what I was talking about earlier with lining up those brackets. This is laying over the new floor, obviously. This is the point I was trying to drive home. Those marks, this section here, all this stuff lines up inside the floor. This hump is perfectly placed inside of this pan. And it's not sliding, it's not going anywhere. Now all I have to do is drill a small little hole here, bend this up maybe and do another small hole on the other side and just stick a marker through those through those pinholes and mark the panel, pull the bracket off, and then you can weld it directly to that spot, right where that hole was at, especially like here. That's perfect for that kind of stuff, guys. So just something to keep in mind if you're going to be doing this at home. And it's, you know, again, it's part of the paying that tuition, trying to learn how to do this stuff. So let me set you back up. I'm going to move on to the next part of the process and I'll be back soon. Oh, God. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Cleco 101. What are these? Why do you need them? And how do you use them? So Clecos are very commonly used in automotive, race car, and any type of fabrication that requires the use of sheet metal. Now, they're very common in aircraft also, when you're doing body panels and stuff like that. Okay, so what are they and how do they work? So, a Cleco is as simple as this. This little thing is spring-loaded and activated, okay? It's about the size of an 1/8" drill bit. So, I bought 1/8" Clecos, so you would need an 1/8" drill bit to drill a hole in your body panel. Now, also, something to take note is that I've got this panel in here very loosely, guys. This is not where it goes. This is not the finished product. This is just to show you an idea of how these will work. So let's take, for instance, this is the factory lip that's on the upper trunk deck, okay? This panel actually goes over top of this, along this whole backside. Let's say I want to put this pan in and I've got some work I need to do later on underneath the body or underneath the chassis. That's where Clecos come in and are your best friend. So let's say this lip is over top of this lip. All I would want to do is once I have this lined up and in place where I pretty much want it to go or where it should go, you drill a hole straight down through both panels, okay? You would take the Cleco, you would squeeze it, push it into the little hole, and then you let go. And what would happen, pretend that stays there, that right there is enough pressure to keep the two panels together and aligned. Now, you know, you would want to do, I don't know, let's just say 10 down that back row or whatever you can fit in there. And then of course you would have some running down the sides or the rockers. You would also have some running down the front of the support for the floor itself. The beauty in these things is it allows you to take that panel and install it and remove it as many times as you need to do work and not have to fully install it. These little things are great for quarter panels, fender patch repairs, custom sheet metal. It just, the possibilities are endless. This whole kit was 20 bucks. I think it's got 20 of these maybe 30. I don't remember how many's in this bag. Pair of pliers. Again, super easy to use. 1/8" hole in your workpiece. Squeeze it together. It allows this to pinch together, and then when it pulls back and has pressure, it expands those little jaws, and that's what keeps it in the sheet metal and allows it to stay nice and tight to the workpiece. So I hope that explains that, guys. If you have more questions about these, hit me up or check out YouTube, other YouTube videos for these. There's probably dozens of them, I would imagine. But again, just another tool that you can put in your arsenal. And yeah, some guys will go, you don't need that crap. You know, don't waste your money. And I'm not here to argue with them. I'm just going to tell you this is something you can have in your toolbox for down the road. And it's something you'll be able to keep for your whole lifetime. You'll never have to get rid of these. So that's Cleco 101. Again, do you have to use these? No. You could use like a self-tapper or sheet metal screw or whatever. I just chose to use these because I have other projects down the line where I'm going to need to use these. So hopefully that'll help guys out there. And this will help you get your project on to the next stage. All right, guys, that's pretty much going to wrap up this video's floor episode for the back seat. Inevitably, I will get back on the floor when it becomes more of a finished project, and I'll show all the step-by-step details on how to put the floor back in correctly. So now I want to stop and switch gears and go over to this episode's Speak On It topic. Got a lot of new subscribers since the last episode. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you. Appreciate that. I do a Speak On It topic occasionally in these videos. It could be just something on my mind about car stuff or the culture or pretty much anything. And it's kind of like an open discussion forum for anybody that's watching that wants to comment. So this episode, Speak On It, is a very, very, very important one to me. It's preservation. Preservation of the culture, no matter where you're at in the country or the world for that matter, and preserving what's dear and important to you. My topic for this video's episode will be to let everyone know that the Radical Hopper Freak Show, which some of you may remember from the very early Cruise Fest National days when it was still held here in Dayton, Ohio at Montgomery County Fairgrounds, has recently been found. This vehicle, I'll never forget the very first time I saw it. I couldn't have been 13 or 14 years old. And God, I wish I had a picture to show you, but it's seared into my brain. It was just a picture of it standing straight up on the bumper on Main Street in downtown Dayton in front of the entrance to the fairgrounds for the Cruise Fest Nationals. And the moment I saw that vehicle out in front standing up like that, I was hooked. It was like anything I'd ever seen up until that point. But back to the story. So it has recently been found and saved. A good friend of mine, Patrick Bergman, who lives here in Dayton, Ohio, and is part of Working Class Car Club. You guys have seen him on the channel before with his club members. I'll show you a picture of Patrick's wagon. So Patrick is currently working on Freak Show. He, depending on how you look at it, he was very fortunate to be able to save it, although the circumstances of him getting it weren't exactly ideal. But and that's simply because the original owner, Daryl Uzzle, recently passed away. So Patrick has saved the car and is currently working on getting it back on the road for the 2024 car show season. So he's going to try and bring that vehicle out, possibly at White Trash and White Walls in Fairborn, Ohio, which is Dave Bonan's event. Amazing event to go to. I have a older video of that show on my channel, so go back and take a look at that. But Patrick's plans are to get the suspension fully working again, go through the wheels, brakes, tires, all that stuff, and make it so that he can bring it back out and show everybody how amazing it really is. And it's got a lot of history. Again, it's really important to this area for lowriding and preserving that culture, because Midwest lowriding, in my personal opinion, doesn't get enough credit historically. And here in Ohio, when it comes to like street rods and hot rods, there's this thing known as the Ohio look. And guys that are watching who are from Ohio will know exactly what I'm talking about. And this car had the lowrider version of the Ohio look. And it's one of a kind. It was built by Jake Burton at Trendsetter Customs in Huber Heights, Ohio in the mid to late 90s. And I'm sure many guys have, had their hands on it over the years, working on it and stuff like that. Joe Marker's one that I can think of right off the top of my head. But it's very historically significant to Ohio. It introduced a lot of young and up-and-coming guys like myself to lowriding by seeing it on Main Street, passing it every single day, and like wondering, what is that? What is that going to do? And then being able to see what it was capable of, just, man, it really in a lot of ways, it changed my life because up until that point, I had really never been that close to a hydraulic vehicle. So it was pretty wild to look at the engineering and see what those guys did. This was very early on, before guys were trying to purposefully stand on the bumper. This car was just, the way it was built, it would stand, and it made for a great showpiece for the entrance to the show. So again, Patrick's working on it. He's going to have it back on the road. We're looking forward to seeing it in 2024. When that comes, I will definitely get an exclusive behind the scenes look at the car and show everybody this historical vehicle. So for the time being, this is going to end this episode's Speak on a Topic, and I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. As always, please like, share, subscribe, and look for more content to come up very, very soon. Until next time, thank you very much. God bless, and I'll see you on the very next episode of Gem City Welding.